Uche Secondus loses as appeal court okays PDP's national convention. And candidates of the same religion won't fly the APC presidential flag, says Deputy President of the Senate, Ovie Omo Agege. This is Plus Politics. I'm Mary Anacom. The national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Uche Secondus, suspended, has lost his bid to stop the party's planned national convention. PDP's national convention is now scheduled to hold on Saturday, that's the 30th of October. Reading the judgment, Justice Gabriel Kolawole described the suit before it as an afterthought and an abuse of the court process. The court blamed him for not acting when his ward and local government suspended him until now. Well, joining us to discuss this is Durand Odeyemi. He is the Deputy Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Odeyemi.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm happy to be with you this evening.
Here we are again talking about the PDP and the planned national convention and, of course, the embattled national chairman of your party, Prince Uche Secondus. From the court ruling and the outcome of this, judgment, what does that say about the chairmanship of Prince Uche Secondus going forward?
We are greatly relieved by that judgment because we were very apprehensive since many of us will not know what is likely to be the outcome of the judgment. But when eventually it was pronounced, we were extremely happy, and we had a meeting this evening congratulating ourselves that the convention will go ahead tomorrow. Prince Uche Secondus is still having many issues in court against the PDP, and we are only waiting, and we see it to the end. But as a party, we are moving on.
When you say as a party you're moving on, it means that you're going to conduct your national convention, which means that you're going to have a new working committee, which also means that you might or might not retain Prince Uche Secondus until his tenure expires, which should be expiring in December.
I'm part of the national officers that is directly involved about the terminal dates of our administration. But many of us believe that there is no sacrifice that is too much for us to make for the party. If the National Executive Council of the party decides on the new dates that this administration, this new working committee should commence, we have no any objection to it. It's just a matter of dates, because we were supposed to end this administration by December 9th. So if, in the wisdom of the National Executive Council, it is decided that our term ends on the 30th of October, we have no question about it. We're happy to go.
So let's talk about what this court judgment means. I'm going to start with someone who's from the state where Prince Uche Secondus is from. He's a member of the House of Representatives, Kingsley Chinda. He's the leader of the PDP caucus in the House of Representatives. I'd like to quote him directly. He has said that neither Secondus nor the PDP has won this case. He's saying that the victory was for all Nigerians. How does this benefit Nigerians?
We are here discussing PDP. Nigerians are looking forward to the new working committee of the party. There has not been any other political party in the news other than PDP. And that is why, and as a credible opposition to APC, that we take over rulership from APC in 2023. Our matter concerns every Nigeria, and that is why you are bringing me on. That is why we are in the news. So we are congratulating Nigerians because we will now have a political party that will enjoy relative peace and will prepare towards giving or providing a credible candidate, a presidential candidate in 2023. So that is exactly what he means by congratulating Nigeria. And I join in congratulating Nigerians that by Sunday morning, the names of the new executive committee of the party will be rolled out, and they will give PDP an applause that we know how to manage whatever is perceived to be our internal crisis.
I want to take you back to a conversation we had months ago on this same issue with Prince Uche Secondus, who's claiming that there's been some level of high-handedness, and then there are people who are trying to destroy the party, hence, this whole imbroglio, and which has led to a court ruling, and now that you're about to have your convention. Who's to say that this puts a pin on all of the infighting that's been happening within the party? And who's to say that, at the end of the day, when the new working committee emerges, that, as in your words, the party is going to be successful in enthroning good leaders or the leaders that Nigerians want? Who's to say?
At no time do we stop talking among ourselves. And the essence of a good political party is to be able to manage its crisis. In as much as we believe we still have matters in court, which Prince Uche Secondus has against the party, the new administration, the new National Working Committee, will make it a point of duty that we still need him as one of the leaders of the party, not only him, whoever is aggrieved with whatever has happened within the party. We will continue to talk among ourselves, and we will continue to exploit the internal mechanism of resolving issues. So the new administration, the new NWC, will not stop at talking to Prince Uche Secondus and all members who are aggrieved. So it's part of the duty that they are going to inherit.
Let's talk about the inner workings of the zoning process, if that's even going to be the order of the day for the PDP this time around in preparation for 2023. I remember when we talked about this issue of zoning, at the time, Prince Uche Secondus said that all are welcome, all are allowed to throw their hats into the ring. But is there going to be a zoning process? Will the PDP be honoring zoning issues in terms of who the national chairman will be and who the party flag bearer will be at the end of the day in terms of the presidency?
The issue of who is going to be the chairman is already concluded, because as at this night, we are only going to the convention tomorrow to ratify the election of Senator Yosha Ayu as national chairman. And concerning the presidential issue, by the time the zoning was being done, it was expressly stated that all other zones in the country will be allowed to present a candidate, or whoever is interested in the presidential candidate primary should come out. When we get to the bridge, we will know how to cross it. Right now, we are concerned about having a very good, sound political party. After that, we then look at the issue of the presidential. Where they come from will be determined by the party, and they will give Nigerians a very good opportunity to assess our candidate and eventually present a candidate to them.
Isn't there a laid down rule of sorts where if the party chairmanship is zoned, for example, to the south, and then of course the presidential candidate cannot come from that same zone? I mean, now that you're telling me that every other region can present a person to, to run for presidency, does that not in any way impede the idea of zoning within the PDP? Correct me if I'm wrong.
In PDP, and let me say in politics generally, 24 hours is a long time. The more you look at the journalist, the less you see when it comes to politics. That we are choosing our chairmanship from the north is never an indication that we have foreclosed the issue, or we have said that the candidate cannot come from the north. It can come from the north, it can come from the south, it can come from anywhere. What I'm telling you now is, wait until we get to that bridge, we will see how we are going to cross it.
And how do you intend to do this without, again, your party does have rules and regulations that are guiding it. Are you going to not do those things within the confines of those rules and regulations. Again, we see a lot of people who seemingly are interested in running for the presidency. How many candidates have already indicated interest so far? This is me prying.
I wouldn't know, because as I'm talking to you right now, I don't know anybody that has indicated interest. But I want to draw a conclusion from the last experience we had in Port Harcourt. Almost 12 aspirants came out that they wanted to be president, to be our flag bearer. At the end of the day, Atiku Abubakar emerged as a candidate. And if you remember vividly, even Senator Bukola Saraki, who participated in that election, volunteered to be the campaign manager for Atiku. That is the peace we enjoy in PDP. So whatever is going to happen, let all these aspirants of people who are interested
that
come out.
PDP that we saw has obviously metamorphosed in so many ways. That is not the PDP that we have today. So I'm trying to compare today's PDP with yesterday's PDP. It's not necessarily fair, is it?
PDP is the same. The mode of operation is the same. The people who are there are the same. The system and the constitution remain the same. All that you need to do is wait until that time when we want to choose our president. Then you will see a new dimension of PDP, contrary to your opinion that things have changed in PDP. Nothing has changed. It's all politics, and we continue to play it.
And finally, on the issues or the other issues that are pending, how does the PDP intend to deal with those cases, of course, so that it doesn't raise its ugly head while you are preparing to fight the opposition?
Good enough, the new legal advisor that is coming on board is the senior advocate of Nigeria. And that is not to underrate or to undermine people who are not senior advocates. What I'm saying in essence is we have a good legal team that will be able to handle whatever is the legal matter within PDP. And apart from that, just like I said, we will continue to dialogue among ourselves, and we believe all the people that have benefited in this party will listen to the words of wisdom and allow peace to reign.
In talking about peace, I did promise I was going to end it there, but let's look at states and local governments where there are still teething problems in terms of who's leading the party, who's not. And I'm going to use Cross River State as an example. We saw the governor move to the APC, and right now, if you ask me, the PDP in Cross River is struggling. We do have the former deputy governor leading the caretaker committee for that party up until now. What are the plans of the PDP to build a strong legacy within that state to be able to fight the APC, if there be any fight left in them, come 2023?
Which state do you mention now?
Cross River.
Cross River. As far as we are concerned as a party, virtually all the state matters to us. And you will agree with me that the expiration of our term ends in 2 days. It is part of the new assignment or the assignment of the incoming National Working Committee that Nigerian as a component body belongs to PDP, and we just must do everything within the confines of the law to ensure that our candidates and our people remain and keep the loyalty to the party. So whether Cross River or Rivers or wherever, we see Nigerian as a whole, as an institution, or where PDP must contest election.
I don't think you really answered my question. Yes, we know that PDP will contest elections, but do you stand a chance? Because the party structures were taken over by the APC. They took almost half of, if not 80% of the party structure. They all moved to the APC. Your party secretariat at the time was taken over again by the APC. We saw the former governor, Donald Duke, coming somewhat to the rescue of the party. The former governor, Leah Limoke, was almost nowhere in sight. And it seems more like a scramble. So again, I ask you, is there hope for the PDP in Cross River State? You have 2 days to go, but then you do also have, in hindsight, what would you be telling those who are succeeding you to do to deal with that issue? Can the PDP build itself back to be able to stand against the APC?
Nobody is bigger than the party. And that is why our motto remains, power belongs to the people. The absence or the exit of the present crop of leaders that you are mentioning gives an opportunity to other party members to emerge as leaders. And they only needed that opportunity, which they are seizing right now. And they will be adequately represented at the convention tomorrow. And apart from that, they have started rebuilding the party in such a way that PDP will remain a force to be reckoned with in Cross River.
Okay. Gerald Ayeme is the National Deputy Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party. We want to thank you for speaking with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm happy to be with you.
All right. Thank you all for staying with us. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, the Christian Association of Nigeria has I've been assured of the balance in the religious selection for 2023 APC ticket. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about it.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
Now 500 naira they collect them.
If you no talk, then go beat you.
Now 2,500 they pay.
There has to be a decision point. The way your baby's presenting, we have to rush you in. And my partner at the time was like, "You going to cut her? Are you going to cut her? Is it going to leave a scar?" And I said, am I a belly dancer? What is the problem here?
No, I'm vulnerable about the future of the children, the future of mine and the future of the generation of my children.
I want to have nude pictures taken. Of you? Yes,
Yeah,
but
we
without
had that
showing my
conversation.
private parts. I want to put it in my front room. And they said, you can't do that. People will be embarrassed when they came into your house. I said, well, it's my body and it's my front room.
All the things that we do, what is the purpose of it?
I just realized that I was more trusting before I was 6.
So many women, they just feel like I have to cook for my husband, I have to breastfeed my children, I have to pick them from school.
Because society expects
Then you
them
go
to.
home and you cry and you stop your career, you can't do anything, then you blame everybody. You took that choice.
Hey, what's up, guys? You're welcome to another edition of Plus Event, and I remain your host, Ifeoluwa Oshukeye.
Your absence isn't an excuse anymore, as Plus Events is all you need, as we bring you the glitz, the glamour, and loads of fun.
Oh, definitely, right? No question. He's a living legend.
Oh, God forbid, Holy Ghost fire, I know.
I just want to be blown away. I want to be wild. This is 11 years of doing it.
I'm surrounded by so much positivity. No, it's okay.
Yo, what's up, my people? It's your boy Starboy Terry. You're watching
Plus Event on Plus TV.
Stay glued to Plus TV Africa every Saturday and Sunday, 4:30 p.m. West African time.
Seize it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on PlusTvAfrica.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Sometimes when they get most of these armed robbers and these criminals, they will parade them in the public. They will ask these criminals to demonstrate how they carry out their criminal activities. That is an erroneous process by the policing system. So that was where kidnap took the boom. The kidnap market took the boom because the risk implication in kidnapping, Mary Ann, is very low compared to the risk implication in robbery. So
members of this political class have sold their souls to greed and voracious accumulation. So I'm sitting there thinking, you know what? We can write the Constitution as much as we want, but if these people, the politicals that we have now, are those who will work the Constitution, they will always find a way of bastardizing it.
The Deputy President of the Senate, Ovie Omo-Agege, has urged the national leadership of the Christian Association of Nigeria that the All Progressive Congress APC would not present two people from the same religion as its presidential and vice presidential candidates for the 2023 general elections. Earlier, the president of the Christian Association of Nigeria warned political parties against heating up the polity with the either Christian or Muslim ticket in the presidency. Well, joining us to discuss this is Olu Martins. He's a political analyst, and Leonard Ebute, also a political analyst. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm going to start with you, Leonard. The issue of Muslim or Christian ticket, should that even be a basis for conversations in the first place? Should that be an issue? What about the issue of merits? What about being fit for the job? What about the people who are being fielded as candidates for political parties? Should we not be looking at their capabilities or their precedence? Should it be religion or ethnicity playing the first card or the first point of relevance in this conversation?
So thank you for having me. That's an interesting way to frame the argument. However, we should understand, we've had Muslim candidates before, the Abiola era. Unfortunately, they never saw the light of day. But we should understand, first of all, that this is participatory democracy, and democracy is about representation, and representation is across tiers. This is why we have geopolitical zones. We have religion, we have ethnic groups, we have minority leader, majority leader. All of these are enclaves of political value that need to feel represented, otherwise the democratic experiment falls on its head. And so while your question, the way you frame it, attempts to contrast this thinking with competence and all that, it's actually not the case. It is a tool. The real issue is that because political parties want to win election and necessarily must win election to govern, the way to win in a democratic setting and to feel and to form a government, a legitimate government, both in a legal term and in the minds of the people, is for them to feel represented. And so the statement, while I agree that it is nuanced a bit, yes, it contrasts with competence, it does not, because there are as many competent Christians as there are competent Muslims. And so a democratic experiment in a nation where the Christian-Muslim divide is very stark, we are as divided as can possibly be. There is a Hausa Fulani enclave, there is the South enclave, even in the South, there's the South, South, Southeast, Southwest divide. In the North, you have the Northern minority who are a majority in population, and then you have the Hausa Fulani who are dominant in government. All of these calculations must come into the mix for parties to present candidates that are indeed representative of our diversity. So I think the statement is not out of place.
Interesting. Olumartins, we're people who are divided along ethnic and religious lines. We all know that. Every time we analyze issues, we look at them from those prisms. But how well has it helped us as a country, going about issues from either a religious or an ethnic perspective? What has it yielded us, so far? I'm not in any way saying that we should not, involve religion or ethnicity in what we do, but I'm saying we're so hung up on it, and I'm wondering how beneficial has it been for us going forward? Should we not be looking outside of these prisms to analyze issues, or really even talk about governance?
Thank you very much. Let me again and again continue to applaud PlusTV, Plus Politics for always putting these very thorny issues, if you like to speak, in the front burner. Without the engagement of the media as the fulcrum of the estate, the collective freedoms of all of us is endangered. So to that extent, I should give you kudos for always engaging these very topical issues. But the main issue here is that I think that the postulations and aversions, if you like to put it, of the Senate president is anachronistic, it's archaic, it's medieval. The world is fast moving away from some of those very pedestrian issues of religion. However, is that when religion comes to play, is when the center cannot guarantee anymore a level playing field for Christians or Muslims. Because outside Christians or Muslims, what about the African traditional religion? And what about those who don't even believe in God? So when we pander to religion, it's a salutary pointer that the center does not hold anymore. When we pander to ethnicism, it is a salutary pointer that the center does not hold anymore. What it means is that our fault lines are deepening, and perhaps this administration, the administration as led by President Muhammadu Buhari, has even made it more apparent by some of his actions or inactions. All right, so I do not subscribe to those arguments. The world has gone beyond that, because economics has nothing to do with religion, intelligence has nothing to do with religion, capacity has nothing to do with religion. It's when I feel that because I practice XYZ religion, I am undermined, or I feel that I'm a second-class citizen, or I cannot worship my God the way I want to worship it. That's when we begin to pander to some of these pedestrian discussions. So what the current president has said in his engagement with this deputy Senate president is to tell him that there is a failure of leadership. There is a failure of competency. It appears like if you are a Christian or a Muslim, as the case may be, you benefit outside your competency, outside your capacities, outside the things that you have gone to, that you would ordinarily have been able to get, but for the fact that you are Christian or Muslim. Otherwise, these things should not even come up in our discussions. At all. There's no Christian brain. There's no Muslim brain. It
economics, science, chemistry, physics, all over the world is non-religion. So to pander to these issues, they're taking us backwards. We've gone beyond that. I do not care. I'm a pastor. I pastor a church. But I do not care, really, if my president is a Christian or a Muslim. If I have...
I think we're having connection issues with you, Mr. Lou Martins. But if you can hear me, just say something.
From property.
Okay.
I can hear you very well.
Go
Can
ahead.
you hear me?
Yes, you broke up.
May I respond to Ola Martins?
Yes. Olu, I think you're having connection issues. So let's go to Leonard. Leonard, you think you want to differ on some of the things that he said. So go ahead, because I have a question. Leonard, go ahead.
Okay, great. Can I speak? Can I respond?
Please. Yes, please.
Awesome. So yeah, I mean, so you see, the realm of politics does not dwell in idealism. In an ideal situation, a good leader is a good leader. And when leaders are good, nobody cares where they are from, right? Nobody cares that Nelson Mandela is Zulu. He's an African leader, right? Primarily, we identify with him. He has that general acceptability and identity. And to Ola Martin's point, yes, the country is a nightmare. We are not in an ideal situation. And so if we are looking for a democratic experiment that at least is acceptable, we must look at all the different fragmented units and give them a sense of belonging. Why do we have agitations coming from the left, right, and center? Some of them are legitimate because some people feel they don't belong. Some may be pedestrian because some people want to use it as a point of activism to gain personal benefits and all that. But the thing is this: democracy is not meant to be ideal. It is the government of the majority, where the minority is allowed to have its say, but it is a good form of government when the minority has a voice that can be heard and acted upon. And so in a Nigeria of today, where religious sentiment is the single most important dividing factor between the North and South, even though it's not real. We know that the real divisor is economic.
Great, because I was about to ask that who's made, because it seems like we've allowed ourselves to be played along these lines. Because the average Nigerian, for example, when you were growing up, when you were in school, you didn't ask your seat partner if he was Christian or Muslim to let them sit close to you. When you were playing as a kid, you did not ask them, are you a Christian or Muslim? Or if not, I'm not playing with you. So I'm saying, maybe we've allowed our politicians to play us or play up, because I think that's what the CAN president was trying to talk about, heating up the polity. So what if we not, for example, you're saying that it's not an ideal situation. Why, if it's not an ideal situation, why can't we create an ideal situation that suits, sorry, what?
You will build from where you are. You can't jump the gun from where you are.
But are we really building anything, Leonard? Are we building anything? Because it looks like we let the politicians set the pace and then we follow.
I think the right argument is to not discount the role of our diversity in our politics. The whole point of democracy is the recognition of diversity.
I'm sorry, I do not want this to be a back and forth, but what is the diversity we're talking about here? The diversity of Nigerians is their culture, not their religion, is it? Religion should not necessarily play a part in this, should it?
It's possible for us to have competent Christians and competent Muslims in government. These things are not mutually exclusive. If the idea is to find competence and to have a religious mix that is acceptable, that should be the agenda. And I think that agenda is more worthwhile than to pitch one against the other. We can have competent multi-religious groups coexisting in the running of this country, and that is a more acceptable model where we are right now than to take competence alone as the only selection criteria. That's unrealistic.
I understand.
That's my point.
But my question was that, can we not just talk about competent Southerners and Northerners and people from, the South instead of saying, oh, competent Northern Christians. Or do you understand what I'm saying? We're complicating the issue. And so half the time, I might be wrong, but I'm going to toss this to Ola. Half the time, we're more interested in, the zones and the religion, and that plays up more in terms of who we're picking instead of looking at who the person really is and what they're able to offer. But I'm going to go back to Ola. I hope that you can hear us now, Ola, because we were having connection problems with you.
I've been hearing you. I've been hearing
great.
you.
Well,
I've been following the discussion. I've been following the discussions all the while. It's been very interesting. But can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes. First of all, my name is Olu Martins.
Olu Martins. I'm so sorry.
Yes. And I couldn't agree with you more in your engagement with Leonard. You have made the job, in a manner of speaking, easier for me, because the truth of the matter is that a good footballer, if you are a striker, for instance, a David Beckham holds the ball. Ruud van Nistelrooy knows where the ball is going. We should go where the ball is going. We shouldn't go where the ball is. We have this convenient argument that we post all the time. Check for instance that because network was bad in XYZ areas.
And the network is dealing with you right now. Olu Martins, can you hear me? I think we're having connection issues with Olu again. Are you back?
Can I pitch in?
Okay, Leonard, I think you're going to have to save the day again. Now, Leonard, I want to go to what the CAN president said. I'd like to quote him directly. He was saying that political parties are actually the ones heating up the polity about the issue of Christian or Muslim tickets for the presidency. He's saying that these things are not supposed to matter. But you see, lots of people are analyzing it in a way that it seems like, oh, the Christians CAN was going there to say, we want to make sure that there is a Christian-Muslim ticket. We want everybody to be properly represented. But I don't think that that's where they were coming from. They were trying to say, let's play down on these sentiments and look at the people that the political parties are fronting.
Yes, so I mean, again, when we make it an either-or conversation, we would have an indeterminate argument. My point here, as Socrates and Aristotle, the founders of democracy or proponents of democracy, Socrates predominantly expressed, democracy is always the best form of government where competent people are the participators. And by participators, I mean from the candidates to even the voters. So if you have a medical condition, for example, that is a gynecological condition, right? Even if we are going to vote via a democratic process to determine who is going to operate on you, the people that are qualified to vote will be gynecologists. And so in the end, the worst you can have is a gynecologist. But democracy is not like that. You cannot discount the lack of education in the polity, the brain waves of the majority, the religious sentiments of the people, the tribal enclaves to which they belong. You cannot discount that in favor of an ideal that says, let's find the most competent person. Democracy is not a competency test. It is a popularity test. And so the candidates that we appeal more to a wider base will form the government. So if we are looking for that, then we had better recognize what that base is looking for in religion, to say, in religion, who is the most competent person of this religious extraction? In tribe, who is the most competent person of this tribe? And if we do that, we will save ourselves the idealist thinking that overnight we can change a significantly distorted Nigerian political system. And it is not just a Nigerian political system, it is democracy in general. We forget that democracy threw up Donald Trump in America.
Are we really?
I
Are
was making a
practicing
point.
democracy in Nigeria? Because you, Leonard, have been making reference to ideal situations. I do not know if ideally we are practicing a democracy, or realistically, that's not the case. I do not know. But Leonard, let's see if we can let Olu speak. Olu, are you back? Mr. Olumasins, are you still there? I think you're trying to speak, but your connection is really, really bad. Unfortunately, I'm going to have Leonard answer that question. So, Leonard, ideally, we're supposed to be operating a democracy where you're saying that popularity carries the day. But realistically, is it a democracy that Nigeria is operating on, or something that is similar to it?
Well, there is no perfect democracy. When you look at the American electoral system, it's fraught with irregularities that a lot of scholars. We have a Nigerian version. Democracy is a journey. We are trying to be as democratic as we can be. We are far from it. But my thesis is this. With what we have, I'm a business person. You don't analyze a business case from where you want to be. You analyze a business case from a base case. The base case is this is where we are. And if you want to move us from where we are to where we want to be, what can we do now to win in the short term while we are on the journey to the long term? But if we say we shouldn't talk about ethnicity, we shouldn't talk about religion, we shouldn't talk about the polarizing political views, that in itself is an undemocratic statement, because the alignment of opposing views and opposing concerns. And so when the CAN chairman or anybody is saying these views will better align, trust issues will be better resolved if we are able to have representation from the two major religions in Nigeria, that is a sensible statement to make. It's practical, it's realistic. We don't have to like it. It is where we are, and that is the best place to start from to move towards where we want to be. It is not by accident that the parties have a zoning formula that zones presidencies and positions between the North and South. It is in recognition that people need to have a sense of belonging in the Nigerian experiment across those lines. And so if there are other dimensions other than a North to South zoning, then it makes sense to consider it in the analysis. It cannot be binary, either this or that. Maybe it requires a lot of other variables, and I think religion in today's Nigeria is a significant variable that you cannot discount, even in business for that matter.
Interesting. Let's try again if we have Olumasins back. I think we lost him completely. We've lost his connection. Apologies, Olumasins, for the internet connection. Welcome to Nigeria. Leonard, before we wrap things up, the average Nigerian is obviously tired of the drama within the political parties. I just finished speaking with a PDP representative, and he was talking about the fact that he wasn't really straightforward about the zoning process, because I asked a direct question as to if you have already given the national chairman or voted a national chairman who's from the North, does that mean that your party's ticket is going to the South? And he said, well, that the party has opened the floor for all hats to be thrown in, and whoever emerges, emerges. Again, that, of course, you know, plays down on the dissenting voices that you're talking about, the fact that we have polarization and we are diverse. But if we do that now, for example, in the PDP, where is the room for all of us to be represented at some point or the other?
First of all, that remains a very, very significant hurdle to cross within the PDP, because zoning is written into the PDP's constitution. I mean, constitutions can be amended. There is equal voting rights at the table for that amendment to happen. It is not a unilateral decision by some board of trustee or party chairmanship or whatever. It requires an amendment of the Constitution, which to my mind, and I'm a follower in this space, has not happened. As it is today, the indication, unless the PDP is able to review their Constitution, which I don't think they can, is that for sure the zoning formula favors a southern candidate. But that said, this is not about the PDP or the APC or about the political enclave. At the risk of sounding like a broken record, right? I believe there are equal distribution of competent people across geographies in Nigeria. I am from Benue State. In Benue State, I am from a minority tribe. I am an Idoma person. The Idomas have competent people from geopolitically, they call us North Central. When we don't feel like it, we call ourselves peoples of the Middle Belt. We have a political identity crisis that is also a problem for us. But beyond all this, we can have a southern competent person of a religion that is acceptable to those who care about religion. We can have a northern competent person that is acceptable to those who care about religion. This is the model that we should practically be looking at. And we shouldn't be thinking PDP or APC. We should be looking at Nigeria and say, how would a typical Nigerian, I go to my village, I've been to my village minimum 10 times this year. I've traveled minimum 18 states in Nigeria this year. So I don't know anybody, or maybe very few people visit rural places like I do. My business is in transportation, so I have to know, and I'm involved in politics. The thing is this, what politicians know that we analysts have refused to know, or we have decided to be blind, and we're using our Lagos brains to analyze, is that there is a way that the people that form governments in this country think. Politicians know that, and they play those nuances. So, but if we come on TV and we say the nice things that would happen in a Lagos business school setup, or that will happen in a boardroom setup, then we miss the whole point of democracy, because the professor and the illiterate farmer have the same votes.
In closing,
I agree fully that there are a number of variables that need to be in the equation for deciding who the best candidates are. Number one, they must come from the right religion so that they will have acceptability. Number two, they will have the right competence for the Nigeria of today and the next 4 years. Number three, they must be able to reach out in a manner that guarantees them victory. It is okay for us to bring good candidates that cannot win election, and we do this every year. Please, good candidates, find a platform that can get you victory, so that you don't just become a TV celebrity.
We have to go. Thank you very much. Leonard Ebute is a political analyst, and also we had Olu Martins, who's also a political analyst. Thank you very much for being part of the conversation.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, thank you all for staying with us. We'll take a quick break to bring you highlights of the week and all the interesting conversations we've had on Plus Politics. And when we come back, I'll be telling you good night.
And the fact that they try to, cover it up or probably have these conversations behind closed doors shows that they should be something we should be worried about. In the first place, the quality of what they're doing is very important to us, and we need to make sure we have a way of tracking what the judiciary are doing. It's just like having our lawmakers over there in the National Assembly, we don't know what they're doing. So how are they representing us right? So I think it's something that they have to look into once more, and it's something that we, the taxpayers, deserve to know. What is this money used for? Because right about now in Nigeria, the quality of service in the judiciary system is very low. The service delivery is extremely low. The timely delivery of service is also extremely low.
The economists have been in existence even before my great-grandfather was born. And I think they have an integrity to protect. They have an image to protect. And they can't just come out and give out information that is not true. Definitely they've done their findings. Now, I went through the report from The Economist. They talked about soldiers' welfare, that soldiers are not well paid. They talk about diversion of soldiers' allowances, which are not getting to the soldiers. They talk about poor feeding. Now, let's keep aside the area of arms selling now. From those 3 pointouts the economists gave out, I can vouch for the economists that report was true. I was a soldier, a former soldier. All what they've stated happened to me, myself, when I was in the Bakassi Peninsula in the 90s. Our funds were cut off, we were nowhere paid, we were being fed like cows.
We are expecting that the government will exonerate Ken and the Ogoni and apologize to the Ogoni people, and we take it up from there.
And what happens if none of that takes place?
If none of that takes place, you would have heard that Mr. President said that he has given license to MPDC or NMPC. I can assure you that one bird will not fly into Ogoni in the name of oil if those things are not taken care of.
No, so can you repeat that? What do you mean by that? I read the statement from the president.
Because you cannot, if you like me, you will like my dog. You cannot like my oil and hate me.
It appears that there is so much ungoverned spaces in parts of the north. Now, parts of the east is also falling and succumbing towards it. So government must show presence in these areas. If you need to go defeat these guys, hold territory while you are advanced to do more, get more food soldiers, more boots on the ground, like we said elsewhere, and do the needful. This is no longer time for paying lip service and talking. You cannot be warning in this day and age.
Well, see, this is what's going to play out on the election day. It's actually going to be between 2 political parties. You can note it down. It's going to be between APC and APGA. It's not about the candidates anymore. It's going to be between APC and APGA. And I know that when it comes to that, I believe that APGA will take the day. I believe that Charles Soludo has what it takes in this 21st century. He has what it takes to, carry on with the development of Anambra State.
Thank you all for being part of the conversation. We hope you enjoyed all of our broadcasts for this week. We'll see you on Monday on Plus Politics. I'm Mary Anako, and have a good evening.
Nigeria, by extension, Africa, is faced with a lot of challenges. The growing youth population with little engagement, that is a ticking time bomb. We are a blessed people with diverse culture and highly cerebral minds who have a lot to say. And yes, we are talking. It is important we drive the right conversation that informs, inspires, influences thought and action. If we say there's beauty in our diversity, then let us embrace our diverse culture. We must continue to courageously be the voice of transformation, as we are the hope for the future. Yesterday's conversations shape today. What are you saying to shape your tomorrow? We know you have a lot to say, and we are here to hear you.
Hello and welcome. It's Nimasa This Week, the voice of maritime. Nimasa This Week is brought to you by the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency. statutorily mandated to ensure that there's regulation and promotion of matters affecting our waters. NIMASA bears responsibility for search and rescue, shipping development, and ship registration.
NIMASA This Week, the voice of maritime, showing on this channel.
Most people know the common symptoms of the original COVID-19 variant, which are shortness of breath, cough, fever, sore throat, loss of taste or smell. It is important, however, to note that there are new variants of the coronavirus which are caused by mutations of the virus. The original, Alpha, Beta, Gamma, and now the Delta variant. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, the Delta variant, also known as B.1.617.2, can spread more easily as it has mutations on the spike protein that makes it easier for it to infect human cells. This means people may be more contagious if they contract the virus and more easily spread it to others. It is 50% more contagious than the Alpha variant, which is already 50% more contagious than the original coronavirus first identified in China in 2019. Its new symptoms are headaches, runny nose, and a sore throat. Now, while the Delta variant is still being studied, there are 5 things we need to note about it. 1. It spreads really quickly. One thing that sets this variant apart from others is the speed at which it's spreading. For instance, in just a few months' time, it went from being non-existent to becoming the dominant variant in the US, India, and the United Kingdom. 2. It could cause other symptoms. Cold-like symptoms such as headache, runny nose, and a sore throat top the list in the ongoing study of the Delta variant. 3. Vaccinated individuals are protected against the Delta variant. Medical experts have stated that the Delta variant is no match for the authorized vaccines as they provide a high level of protection against Delta and other variants circulating in the world. The AstraZeneca vaccine has been shown to be 60%